Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web series Very Clever Primitives, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 5. These humans are absolutely idiotic. How in the hell has they got their species into space when they can't keep the civilians out of secret locations is beyond me. The commander of the warrior caste unit was fuming, and for obvious reasons. We were all pretty orange from how the humans handled our arrival. I, for one, felt my quills stand on end out of irritation. Did they want us to get killed? I wanted answers. We all wanted answers. Between the incompetence of our diplomat class and the human government that we were currently hosted by, I started to question whether or not actually making contact with the humans was a good idea at all. It was a tale of the best intentions gone awry. Perhaps we were meant to be alone. The steel door behind us slammed open, the already on edge warriors readying their rifles, aiming them at whoever marched towards us in that strange steel and stone room that we were stationed in. The human soldiers shut the door behind them, barring it shut before raising their hands in what I assumed to be a sign of trust. Easy, easy, we're not here to kill you. We're here to take you to the general. One of the human soldiers, face clad in a black mask, stated, his eyes wide. Human eyes were fascinating. They possessed many different colors, contrasting their skin. Blues, greens, grays, brown, and so expressive at that. Perhaps that is how their species communicated their emotions. I certainly felt myself trying to read their eyes. The warrior caste, on the other hand, was more concerned now with getting this mission over and done with. They had enough of these primitives and their foolishness. What is the alien saying? The commander asked, her grip tightening on her rifle in anxiety, scales shifting from orange to a vibrant green. They say they mean no harm, I replied, listening to the shouting outside. It was faint thanks to the stone walls, but, let me just say that they weren't exactly kind with their choice of words towards their soldiers. As my thoughts turned to the people outside, however, I looked at the soldier, my eyes growing serious. Did you just shoot your own people? I asked, my tone stern. The soldiers looked at each other for a moment, their own commander shaking his head. This is a restricted area for authorized personnel only. They knew the risks breaking in, he stated, his tone cold as he moved forward. Now tell your bodyguards to lower their rifles, or we're going to have a problem. The general is waiting for us down below. I was a bit caught off guard by how bold and brutal the human soldiers were. Even in the face of technologically superior beings, they still showed no fear, and, in fact, made threats. I would have gained quite a bit of respect for the primitives if they weren't so disgusting towards their own people. Shooting at your own kind, I knew humanity still warred with each other, like we did all those millennia ago, but to show no remorse for it, that is what made these people alien to me. They lacked compassion. There was only the mission. I turned to look at the commander, Scar Anna, sighing in disdain. Lower your weapons, Anna. We're going nowhere until we do, I stated, making the commander hiss in disbelief. I had no power over her, nor any of the warriors. Who was I to tell them what to do? I won't bow before a hostile alien, she spat, her grip shaking. The human soldiers began to raise their own rifles in impatience, making my scales seethe in orange fury, bordering on red. Why did they shoot their own people, and where in the hells is their leader? Oh, for God's sakes, Anna, I hissed, looking towards the humans. Anna, you saw my report. Regardless of how barbaric these aliens are, those humans will rip you apart, despite how well-designed your armor is. Your soldiers have no chance. Just do what the human asks and then boast about how great of a warrior you are after, I shouted. Anna looked at me with a look of color that made me expect that I would be the one shot at. I never seen Anna that angry before. We've only met on a few occasions, but for the most part she was a happy-go-lucky, if a bit rash woman of Valar. But now I saw a soldier far away from home with a very itchy trigger finger. The warrior caste had not tasted war for many, many years, and it seemed like they were eager for blood again. We just got you, for goodness sake. You're lucky I like your colors, Lan. We're going to have a long talk after we're done with playing nice with these humans," she hissed, looking at the other warriors. "Stand down. We'll be done here soon, won't we, lad?" she asked, her rifle lowering. I sighed in relief, nodding as the rest of the well-armed, very irritated soldiers, human and Valan, followed suit. Of course. Yell at me and complain to the Vanguard all you want, once we're off of this planet," I said, laughing nervously, scales turning a bright green as I looked towards the humans. "Lead the way, most gracious hosts," I said, trying to help ease tensions as best a scholar could. "Right, follow me," the human stated with a tone of mistrust. I couldn't blame the primitive before being on edge. This was likely just as rough on them as it was on us. We had a lot of ground to cover and a lot of talking to do before either side could truly trust each other. I was just stunned we were so close to armed engagement right as we met. The incompetence of the leaders and the nerves of the soldiers never went well together. We were led down stone tunnels, softly lit by glowing fluorescent lights. Down and down, deeper and deeper into the stone temple these soldiers resided. Through steel doors with strange symbols all over them, from staircase to staircase, we marched onwards. The gravity began to tax our bodies, although the warriors would never show it. Our steps became sluggish and our breath hastened. The oxygen of this planet wasn't as rich as other planets. Our muscles had to work harder, with less energy than we were used to. For the scholar, it was torture. I desperately wanted to sit down. I missed my bed. After what seemed like an eternity, we reached the bottom level of the complex, far bigger below the earth than it was above. Suddenly, steel doors opened to our sides, more soldiers surrounding our group as we worked further through the facility. The area around us becoming more steel and less stone, and narrow the further we went. Those humans made us take the stairs when they had lifts up and down the different levels. My scales fluxed in frustration, but I bit my tongue. The area became less and less like military bunker and more like a lab. People in lab coats, like me, weaved in and out of groups of soldiers. My heart sank, putting two and two together, my colors switching to a bright, vibrant green. "This isn't your leader at all, is it?" I asked the human commander. No response, not at all. I swallowed as we approached a large, steel double doors. The human commander and one of the scientists placed the strange plastic items against the walls on either side, causing the doors to open. And on the inside, I saw them. Dozens of humans wearing similar attire to mine, all running to and from primitive computers running tests. And in the center was a large, circular table. The man in the green suit with the strange ribbons on his breast sitting right at it. They brought us to a secret military research facility. I didn't take a genius scholar to know why. "Do you really think we come in peace and take us to your leader would work, alien?" the man in green asked, leaning back in his chair. "Have a seat. You six aren't going anywhere. We have a lot to talk about." "Skalan," Anna said quietly, looking around in concern. "What is the human saying?" she asked, looking to the general through squinted eyes, ruffled quills, and bright orange scales. With how barbaric these humans were, I really didn't want to tell the prime for attack warriors that we likely were going to die here. As such, I did the next best thing. I tapped the comlink broadcast button on the cuff of my coat, the device I brought along with me making a connection to our ship quite easily, despite our depth in the earth. I paid to have scholars of communication technology on our vessel. Our discussion with the humans would be loud and clear if anyone was curious enough to examine my lab terminal. And knowing Skaresh, she was already tuning in. "He says that we need to have a seat, so let's sit," I said, giving Anar a knowing look, my scales flashing yellow to her, a signal that I had a plan. Despite our earlier argument, the seasoned warrior flashed the same yellow to me in acknowledgement. She'd play my little game and be a quiet little hired gun on my unsuspecting alien act. The six of us moved forward, each taking a seat across from the general, our eyes glued to that one human's form. "Now then," the human general said softly, placing a large tube of dried plant into his mouth and, using a portable torch, ignited the end. The human was puffing away on the most foul-smelling plant that I'd ever had the displeasure of inhaling. The urge to cough was rising the longer he puffed on that thing. "What do you want with us, alien? What else did you use that sample for?" the human asked, leaning forward. "And make sure your friends don't lift those weapons. Let's play really nice here, alien. Once you finish answering my questions, I'll be more than happy to escort you fine people out of here," he said, folding his hands together. I couldn't help but look at the human in irritation. Humans were a powerful species, that much was certain. But being so bold and putting a diplomat team at risk to get answers was just foolish. Still, out of self-preservation, I'd play along. "We didn't know that you were here, alien," I responded, crossing my arms to match the human's own posture. The human's squinting eyes clearly demonstrated that he didn't like that particular word being used against him. "We were exploring this section of the galaxy, looking for hospitable planets for colonization. If your species didn't leave such a mess outside your atmosphere, we would have passed right along, as your planet is far too harsh to hold a stable colony for us," I stated, taking in a breath. "Littering your atmosphere with satellites and primitive space stations let us know a sapient species was here. And you're the first one we found. I apologize if our eagerness to learn more about you and say hello to our new neighbors gave you cause for concern," I said, my tone dripping with annoyance and condescension. I was a scholar, not a diplomat, and frankly, I was tired of the species already. I hadn't been here a rotation, and my patience was growing thin, despite death all around me. Even after my hidden insults, the human nodded in understanding, writing down notes in a journal. "Sorry for leaving a mess as we progressed in technology," he said, taking in a swift breath, likely biting back a string of insults himself. My scales lit up in satisfaction. I was enjoying being a pain to the barbarians. "Don't be. We littered too when we first started to get off our own planet," I stated, leaning back in my chair, relaxed. An idle thought ran through my mind, thinking of how the Lan were before we became a space-faring species. The details were fuzzy. I was never good as a history student. The warriors seemed to note my relaxed posture as they themselves eased into their seats as well. "Here's your answer," I began. "I really did just take a sample to get antibodies for all the dangerous microbes on your planet. By taking a sample from a native species, I just duplicated your own antibodies so that we could inoculate ourselves to as much that we could survive. We don't intend on colonizing an already sapient inhabited planet. Is it so hard to believe that we just wanted to say hello to the only species we've ever discovered so similar to ourselves?" I asked, my colors growing orange in irritation. "Is humanity that paranoid?" The general stopped writing, placing his journal and pencil down on the table, with a faint sigh. He looked up, looking into my eyes directly. "Yes, our species is always prepared for the worst," he said, eyes filled with determination. I was aghast at such a comment, struck with disbelief. "But why? Why would you automatically assume my intentions were malicious? Why would our kind go through the effort of establishing contact, learning your language, and remaining civil until you gave us permission to land?" I asked, demanding answers from the savage. The human let out a faint laugh and a soft smile. "Not all warfare is combat, alien. You come here, play nice, earn the love of the people, and then suddenly everything changes. Civilizations change. Hell, things have already changed," he said, picking up a small remote next to his journal, turning on the monitor nearby one of the massive primitive computers. On the screen, it was broadcasting a pair of humans sitting at a desk, discussing the past few Earth weeks. My scales turned darker and darker as I saw what mankind had been doing. People looting shops, attacking each other for supplies, claiming that the end of the world was near. They descended on each other like wild animals as our ship was displayed in full view for everyone and anyone to see. They talked about human technicians that tuned into our haphazard communications, able to watch our conversation as it happened with the human general. That's how the human civilians knew we'd be here. A technician leaked that information. I placed my claws over my mouth in horror. People were marching in the streets, holding signs up towards the sky. "Take me away from this place," was written on one side. "Oh, government lies! We need you!" on another. People chanted for and against our arrival on this planet. Their various species turned against their government in pseudo-civil war almost the second we arrived here. Good gods, I muttered in Valan, the warriors all watching the same horror as me. They didn't need to understand the language, to understand the strife of a civilization on the brink of collapse, all because we stumbled upon their tiny blue orb. The general looked at me after those horrifying moments, his expression stern. Now, Doctor, why should I trust anything you say, considering how much damage you've caused? My scales were boiling, scorched red. I had no words. I was filled with a fury I had not known in my entire life. Skaresh's thought my visit would be restore the faith in the gods, but these savages, these barbarians, only made me scorn them further, but not because of how brutal these humans were. Oh no. The memories of my history lessons in Scholar Academy came flooding back with every video clip that displayed on the monitor. It was like ancient history repeating itself, and I had such high hopes for such an advanced young species. That is what infuriated me. Because we were once you. I finally spoke, still thinking of our ancient history, all of that suffering, all of that war, all of that pain. It was exactly how we once were, before the reforms and before our species truly grew into greatness. We were human. We nearly destroyed ourselves before we reached the stars. I fear, after seeing that, your kind may not survive its own hubris. Silence hit the room. Humans were barbaric, cold creatures, but they were very good at picking up on intentions. The general leaned forward, his lips moving into a big smile, despite the gravity of what I just said. You see, now we're getting to know each other. It was at that moment that the English word prick became my favorite. End of chapter. This is a special thank you to the one, the only, the legendary Eric Hino, who has become the only Tier 6 patron. I just want to thank the T5 patrons and channel members. Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Australia the Dreamer, Try Again 95, Puric Yol, Meridian 117, Alithia, Jordan Bucksbaum, Angry Marine, Albarden Gusta, and Barkey. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.